Mickey, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Brendan.
Mickey, great to talk to you, Mickey. As I said, opening victories against Sligo and away to London. Mickey, a tough assignment now to Meath. Playing they come down from 2A, playing in the Joe McDonagh. It was going to be a tough prospect, but it was a game still we competed in up until the last quarter.
Yeah, it was, Brendan. And look, I suppose at the start of the season, that Meath were hot favourites to probably won this division, and other team in it knows that. But look, we went down, Brendan. We had a real go with them. It was a tough breeze, and we set up solid in the first half. And look, with 32 minutes gone, there was only 3 points in it, and then they had a wee purple patch in the last 3 or 4 minutes. They put 6 between us at half time, but we know at half time, which is we'd have a real go at them, and we did, and 55 minutes gone, there was only 3 points on the scoreboard, and us with the breeze behind us, you'd have thought maybe we were going to run them tight, but to be fair, Brendan, they're a good outfit, and they emptied the bench, and they finished very strong, and they showed a lot of depth in their panel, but look, we're really happy, Brendan. We knew not far away from them, but at the same time, there could have been a point at least in us for the game, but they pulled away big in the last 10 minutes from us,
Yeah, Mickey, it sounded like a real physical contest. Maybe just it got a bit tough towards the end of it for us, but certainly we give as good as we got up in that. I just seen reference to a few battles that were going on all over the pitch, even with our own man inside and their fullback. There looked like there was a real tussle going on there in terms of physical battles, and it sounded like the crowd really warmed to that.
There was a good atmosphere, and there was a good crowd in Navan. I suppose Richie Ryan was a handful for him in the first half at full forward for us, He had a bit of power over the fullback and stuff, but in the second half they dropped their big wing back who maybe is actually bigger and very physical than Richie too. So that ended up a battle. It worked in their favour now. He was very solid in there. The change they made, and it worked for them. But it definitely was a physical encounter, and something we've been working on is our strength condition over the year. But at the same time, Meath been very conditioned, Brian. In the last 10 minutes, they just had a wee edge on us. We were getting a lot better, but they just showed that level that they play at as a wee step up, and that proved so in the last 10 minutes. They're very conditioned, and their bench made a big difference to them,
Yeah, and listen, Mick, that's natural. Every step up is going to come with more preparation, more physicality. So I suppose you're getting a bit of a flavour for that, but you certainly, give it your all. And Mick, we've spoken before about Donegal being in 2A, and I'm not saying you're ever comfortable in there, Mickey, but we certainly know our way about the division now, and we can handle it. And if you're playing a side that has come down a level, it's great to test yourself against them. But certainly, we're no longer 2A used to be a thing, or 2B used to be a thing where it was something we would get up there and get relegated. Now we're holding our own in there, and I suppose it's only if you can do that for a few seasons, then Mickey, can you possibly think about taking another step?
It's actually a massive step, Brendan. The hurling's so tiered, I suppose in football, on any given day, a Division 3 team can set up and give a Division 1 football team a game, it's so different in hurling. If we go up another level, you're up under the Kerrys and the Offaly's, and look, I feel with this young side, we're at our level at the minute, maybe in a few years' time, but the concentration is to stay in 2B, and maintain that level of hurling, and try bring hurling on the county. We're a young side. Yesterday we started with maybe five under 20 score anyway. It's a young team, the boys are making their debuts against the likes of Meath and stuff now, which is changed times from years ago. So but I think the level we're at the minute is good. If we get the semi-final spot, we'll always push to get on and try to get a rattle up to 2A. But it's a massive step, and the aim is they get comfortable in this division, and to get a semi-final spot, we'll have a go at it surely. But if we get another point or two, it should see us safe. So with 2 home games coming between Wicklow and Tyrone, so hopefully we can get a point or two out of either of them, and that should put us safe for another year, and possibly maybe a semi-final shot, so we can look at that then,
Yeah, Mickey, a lot of obviously discussion and consternation in many ways over our underage football academy and things that's happening there. Are you, just with those young players you mentioned, are you happy enough with underage hurling at the minute in terms of the coaching and the backup that you're getting from the county?
Well, we've got 3 or 4 players through in the last year, and on the panel now we get keeping maybe 5 or 6. The problem was, Bren, when we come out under 20s and hurling, if they didn't get on the senior panel, there was no hurling at all, and you know, in the club scenes maybe only 4 or 5 matches a year, so you were losing boys, and so that wasn't right, you know. So I think the minute maybe Eddie Gaffey's on there down to 17s and Paul Burns on their 20, you know, so there's definitely a better structure in place than what has been before, you know, and these boys have S&T coaches in with them now too, and you know, there's definitely a bit of effort going on, and there's plenty of numbers, so hopefully we'll see the benefits of it, you know, in a 2 or 3 years' time. But over the last 2 seasons, you know, we've picked up four very good players, 5 maybe, you know. So if you get that coming through every couple of years, Brendan, it's definitely going to favour hurling, you know.
Yes. And Mickey, just on that London trip there, I see there's a big break now, 3 weeks to your next game, as you're saying there. But that trip to London, was there a chance to, you know, when you're on a away trip like that, it's a good time for the lads to get together and kind of a bit of bonding. But I'm just wondering, there's a lot of games coming thick and fast there. It might have been more a World One stop than a weekend in London that you could maybe take a bit of time and go together as the lads.
Well, it was good. Now, to be honest, it was a great weekend, Bren, but there wasn't much. We bonded and all the rest, and after the match, the boys had a few drinks, you know. But that stopped as soon as we got to the airport. You know, you carry yourself good as a team, and we do that now. But it definitely was a good weekend. It was good for bonding, and it's something that we would need to get maybe another weekend or two before the championship. It's always good and creates good morale, you know. So overall it was a good weekend, Bren, and the result really made the boys in good form on the way home. So they definitely, we created a good wee bit of spirit over there, you know. But as you said, it's a bit of a World One. You're just dropping off the match, and they got a couple of drinks, but straight on the plane and home again. So that went on fairly quick, you know. Yeah,
we had a couple of dangerous weekends ourselves over there, Mickey. That's what I was asking. Now, we played on the Saturday, and it cut loose a few times now, but that was back then. Things are a bit more serious now. All right, Mickey, just on that 3-week break, is that unusual for such a break now? And what way do you keep training before this Wicklow game in Letterkenny?
Well, what happened then, we weren't supposed to be playing meets last week. We actually requested that because Stephen Gillespie's getting married this Friday, so we tried to get that weekend freed up, and meet accepted the request. So that's why we probably should have had only a 2-week break, you know. But no, look, a good wee group, Bren. Now we're in the McGirt Cup final, which could be fixed over the next 2 weeks now, and between this break. So that'll be a game against Jordanstown, which will be good to get out and get a look at some of the boys in the panel. So we'll use that game. But no, it's good to get regrouping, Bren. We picked up 3 bad injuries in London with Danny Collins missed yesterday, and Christian McDermott, Stephen Gillespie's gone. So look, we're at our starting 6 in London. We were down to 3 of them yesterday, so if we can get them bodies fixed and ready for Wicklow, the 2-week break will be well welcomed, you know what I mean?
Yeah, great stuff. Listen, Mickey, keep up the good work. Fantastic job being done there by you and your backroom team. We wish all the lads the best in the rest of the league and into the championship.
Thanks, Brendan.
Mighty stuff. That's Mickey McCann there, our hurling Bannister, taking Donegal from strength to strength. And as I said at the top of the show, we're going to look across the GA county scene now in the company of Paul Finlay and Mickey McCann just after these breaks. These advertisement breaks even. Is that right, Joe? He's got his thumb up.
The DL Debate with Sister Sarah's Letterkenny, serving food you'll love till 9 p.m. daily in Sarah's Kitchen. And there's free admission entertainment every weekend.
Highland Radio are going to Scotland from Monday the 1st of May to Thursday the 4th of May with the very best of music, and we would love for you to join us. Staying at the 4-star Crown Plaza Hotel in Glasgow, we are bringing with us some of the biggest country stars, including myself, David James, Declan Ernie and Robert Mazzell, to name a few. You will enjoy luxury travel to Glasgow, 3 nights dinner, bed and breakfast with music and entertainment each evening. Join us on the Highland Fling to Glasgow this May for only €575 per person. To book, call Highland Radio today on 074 91 25,000. Early booking is advisable. Single supplement applies.
Right Price Tiles and Wood Flooring are 25 years old, and to celebrate we're offering up to 70% off across all tiles, wood flooring and bathware. And each week 25 lucky customers will win their order for free. That's right, for free. Right Price Tiles and Wood Flooring, up to 70% off birthday sale now on.
Do you know what I love about Letterkenny Shopping Centre? I love it because everything I need is under one roof. There's fashion shopping for women and men, health foods and cosmetics, Tesco's and Pennies, free parking and late night shopping Thursday and Friday. I love it because Letterkenny Shopping Centre has it all, including homeware, jewellery, hair and beauty and Revolution Laundry and their free car park. Letterkenny Shopping Centre. So much choice and open 7 days.
With the largest selection of pre-owned vehicles, visit imotors.ie to view our stock. We have them all. Starter cars, family cars, luxury cars, or maybe I'm feeling young and want to treat myself to a two-door sports car kind of car. Visit our showrooms in Letterkenny or Malin.
Bingo every Monday night at the Halfway House Burnfoot. Doors open at 7:30 with eyes down at 8:30. €2,500 must go. Snowball is now €1,850 on 45 numbers or less. If you're not in, you can't win. That's Halfway House Bingo tonight at 8:30.
Good to go. Paul Finlay, are you in the chat room or the Zoom room or whatever you call it here? Paul, are you welcome?
I'm there, Brendan. Yeah.
Paul, good man. Kevin Cass in the house yet, is he, Joe? Kevin's on his way, yeah. I think he was training some underage boys tonight. He's probably showing them that kick against, what do you call him, Kildare that day. He's probably showing them what he did. He probably does that at the end.
Back in training himself.
He probably shows that at the end of every session. I know I would, Paul, if I had kicked it.
Rid of that in us all.
Paul, yeah, he'll be joining in now shortly. Paul, but listen, hey, we can shoot the breeze anyway, myself and yourself, Paul. Huge 2 points for Monaghan yesterday. It was almost do or die stuff, even though it was the third game after Monaghan's 2 defeats, Paul. So you must be very happy that they come out the right side of victory.
Yeah, it was a huge game, I guess, for both teams yesterday, but more, probably a wee bit more in it for Monaghan, being a home match and drawing blank from the first 2 outings, and particularly the bad showdown in Kerry. Really poor show, coming back up the road, everybody under a lot of pressure, new management team, a lot of the players probably feeling the pressure as well. So probably a little bit more on the line for Monaghan yesterday. And I think that shone through in the last 10 or 15 minutes when Monaghan's needs just seemed to be that little bit greater, and they showed that. And there was plenty of appetite from the Monaghan guys. A few substitutes introduced, put on a big show, and yeah, it certainly got Monaghan over the line. Yeah,
and listen, Jack McCarron called back in. I mean, he just seems to be the go-to boy whenever Monaghan are stuck, particularly in the league there. And of course, Stephen O'Hanlon, 3 points, Jones 1, 2, and then the likes of Darren Hughes and just all he would bring to the game as well. We knew McManus was going to be coming in. As it stands, I don't think he was overly needed, but he still, of course, had kicked him a couple of frees, settling frees as well. So suddenly things looked not too bad for Monaghan. The defeat last week, I mean, they gave Armagh a game first day out. Huge defeat to Kerry. I'm trying to figure this out, Paul, because Kerry definitely were out of sorts against us. They beat us by 11 points. Then they get hammered by Mayo. So is it a case that just maybe it was one of them games down in Kerry? I know we all go down there not expecting to win, but it was one of them games maybe Kerry just flexed their muscles and Monaghan wilted a little. Yeah, look, there's a few things at play. I think, first and foremost, you can get days like that in National League, early doors in the season. Just for whatever reason, you go down to an away venue and you're thinking, yes, we're good to go, and for whatever reason, it just doesn't happen. And Monaghan probably had one of those. Along with that, they went out with a very inexperienced team. Like, there was none of those guys that you mentioned, Ed Below and Kerry, Darren Hughes, Conor McManus, and an issue for Monaghan, and it still remains even in the victory yesterday, is midfield. Really sort of, you're looking at very inexperienced guys. I just watched Colm Lennon, a guy from my own club, talking out and starting at midfield against Kerry Below and Killarney, and
he plays wing half back for us, like, and played, that in that position all through our club championship. Never played midfield, and yet Vinny was forced almost because he didn't have anybody else to throw Colm into the middle. And Killian Lavelle is relatively new; he's a couple of seasons under his belt. But it's just when you go down to a place like Killarney, Kerry reeling off a defeat to yourselves, it was a big 2 points for them to get them up and going, and they just turned it on and found Monaghan a wee bit vulnerable, and they really put them to the sword. So you come back up the road and you're licking your wounds, and training, it has to be better that week, and everybody knows that there's a big game coming, home match in Clonus, and all of a sudden you get a wee bit of bounce from the crowd, and Monaghan did get got the scores that were needed then, towards the end of the game. Darren Hughes was immense yesterday, and that was his first showing for Monaghan this year. He just had a massive presence. He really made his presence felt in the game, I thought, from the very start, and particularly coming into that last quarter, himself and begging with a few, great kickouts. And McManus, just coming on. Yeah, he may not have been needed. Sean Jones was probably equally as good coming in. Jack, he pulled up in the first play against Armagh, so we hadn't seen a pile of him, this year. But back on the field, I wasn't sure whether to expect him yesterday, but it was a huge plus to see him starting for Monaghan, and he certainly 0-7, between frees and marks and from play. He had a massive game. So that's really where where Monaghan got the victory yesterday. Was a couple of key guys and sprinkled in with it. It's good to see some new faces coming into it. Vinny has been forced to give some new guys a game, and but look, good victory, much needed victory, a wee bit of a boost to the whole setup, and they can look forward to Roscommon at home this week.
Yeah, certainly. Not 7. A man used to wear 7. Kevin Cass, we were joking there, Cass. Good to hear from you, Cass. We were joking. You kicked that. You're down training the wee boys. You show them that point against Kildare at the end of every training session. Is that what happened to you? Is that where you were late?
That's it to me. I seen Jap do it many times down Sligo IT, so that's where I got the idea from.
That's right, you're out Sligo IT days. God, I remember joining you a few nights. That was a hairy assignment. Cass, listen, Paul was mentioning Monaghan being a bit vulnerable there at times. I don't know, Cass, I haven't seen a vulnerability in a long time in our defence the way it is now, man for man, or, collectively defending as a team. We seem to have abilities going forward, Kevin, and we've big men round the middle, but certainly when a team gets a run on us or teams are attacking us, we just seem to be so wide open. And I know Owen Bam is back, obviously, but Oisín Gallen and Langan as well. But it's even Owen as a forward attacking type player. Kevin, how did you read into that game yesterday? Because we were doing well in half time and a few minutes in the second half when we went a couple of points up. But after that, Monaghan completely destroyed us.
Yeah, like you'd be happy enough for the first half to be, obviously being a point up and maybe kicked a few wides, But then Monaghan definitely got a grip, especially around the middle of the field, and overpowered us and overran us. But then, do you know what as well? We spoke about, I think I was the last time I was on with you, myself and Aaron Kieran a couple of months ago, and we spoke about this about the difficulties that Donegal are going to face going forward, because we've gone through 10, 12, 14 years here, not alone club level, but every club team in the county who are playing blanket defence. So we don't have the guys who have gone through the careers, been coached to man mark. And we are going to struggle at that for a while. Like, you know what I mean? There's no shying away from it. And you can't blame the young guys that are there, because they've come through youth teams. And it's just been the way it's been so successful for Donegal, and it worked for so long. But then the game's evolved, and I think it's going to take a wee bit of time, and it's going to take the club teams to get away from that before we can go at that man-to-man stuff again.
Yeah. There's a few problems there, Cass, and even Joe, we're saying you're kind of sideways there. Look like you're going to fall off the screen. Maybe you can swing yourself around in the landscape. I know. He looks like he's going to slide off there on us, Paul. But Cass, just on that point, if we don't have the man-to-man markers, let's say, to take people, then we have to form a system. And I know, we talk about conveyor belts of talent and players coming through, and we still have injuries and lads are just coming back in that. But if we are a bit vulnerable at the back, then we need to form a very tight unit. I mean, I was in Owenbeg Saturday night. I mean, the way Derry defend as a team now, 1-to-1, they're all serious, and you can see there's a lot of work done at training. But as a team, their shape is perfect. So, you know, we got to find a way to do that if we are a bit suspect at the back 1-on-1.
I think that's the big thing for Paddy Cragg, and I think, listen, they're bound to be working on this stuff but it just takes time. Do you know what I mean? Like, we can't, if we're not good enough to go man to man, then we can't, you know, just leave the boys hanging out to dry. We have to have a kind of system, but again, that takes time. And you're going at it now with a couple of big players not there. You know what I mean? Your Ryan McHugh's not there. Your own band is just back. You know what I mean? Hugh McFadden's just getting up to the pitch of things. Langan's just back in. So I think it'll take time before we see the proper Donegal. One thing I was delighted with, and even though against Tyrone we tried it as well, and we gave a few away, we're trying to kick the ball to be, we're trying to play a different style. But again, that leaves us a wee bit exposed at the back. But I'm hoping that through time, and maybe, you know, another 2 points here or there, could see the boys safe, and it would give them that confidence to keep going with this system, you know.
Yeah, I suppose, Paul, the home thing, you know, straight away you're looking at Donegal thinking, right, we're in serious trouble here. Now, we're still on 2, you're on 2, Tyrone's on 2. So there's still an opportunity there. And I was just thinking about, you know, these 2 home games. If you were to conjure up a victory, I mean, how big was like the home venue for you in Clonus, and that grows and stretch in terms of the crowd getting behind you and the team that was under pressure lifting?
It's huge. It's absolutely, you couldn't talk highly enough of it. Like, and it's very hard to sort of measure it, but just the feeling I was there. And you know, from the very start, Rory Beggan kicks a couple of massive frees, which are bonus scores in any game, from outside the scoring zone, 50 metres, and he puts them straight over the bar. Straight away, the crowd are up, and they're getting behind the team, and there's a good feeling in the ground. Now, the teams were very, very evenly matched, like, you know, right through the game. You know, there was this nip and tuck. There was nothing in it. You were thinking, right, who's going to grab a spell here? A goal in the game was going to be huge. And I suppose, you know, looking back at the game, you'd be foolish to think that Monaghan's, you know, maybe 8 points a better team, because I really don't feel that they are. Donegal would have a few to come back in. You know, few lads, as Cass says, only getting back at it. You know, Jamie Brennan hit the crossbar. I think it was 11 points apiece, and he's through and hits the crossbar. That hits the back of the net. You know, Monaghan's struggling to get back in the game thereafter, like, and there's only maybe 15 minutes to go. So you're looking at a completely different game if that was the case. So Monaghan sort of rode their luck in that occasion, and then ended up, you know, going up the field, putting a real squeeze on Sean Patton's kick out. I thought Monaghan probably in the second half particular, you seen Rory Beggan coming out and filling the big space on one flank, and Darren Hughes on the other, and Sean Patton was struggling, you know, to find a man. And there was a couple of times, you know, Monaghan really just put them, you know, got quick scores off a Donegal kick out, and then that was game over, like 3-4 points up, and you know, there was no way back for Donegal. So that's how finely balanced it is. You know, I do feel that both teams still have their work cut out to remain in Division 1. As I talked about, Monaghan have their issues at midfield, and you know, nowhere near, you know, where you'd like them. Just some interesting sort of players that Monaghan were able to introduce yesterday. It gives you some optimism, you know, going into later on in the year, where, you know, if you were to think of Sean Jones, Jack McCarron, Conor McManus, young O'Hanlon, all on the pitch at the same time in really good nick, you know, that would be that's a potent forward line for any team, and it would give you a little bit of encouragement for going forward. But look, there's loads of football to be played. The home venue is key, and Monaghan, as I say, have Roscommon coming to Clonus next week. They've had a brilliant start, but you know, no better way for you know, to clip their wings, shall we say, than a trip up to Clonus. And you know, Monaghan should be buoyed from the performance yesterday and gain a little bit of confidence, and you know, that could easily, you know, notch another 2 points from that one.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, looking a bit more positive for Monaghan, lads. Just stay with us here. We're going to come back to you after this advertisement break.
Are you in the process of moving to a new bank? Maybe you already have. Well, if you pay insurance or a pension policy by direct debit, just be sure to change your bank details so your policy continues uninterrupted. It's easy. Just contact your insurer, pension provider or broker today. For more information, visit understandinginsurance.ie/bank exit. Brought to you by Insurance Ireland.
Donegal County Council invites the public to take part in the first stage of the public consultation to inform the preparation of the Draft Town Centre First Plan for Milford, which runs from Thursday the 16th of February until Thursday the 9th of March 2023 and will include an open drop-in event on Wednesday the 22nd of February from 3 p.m. till 8 p.m. at the Milford Public Service Centre. For more information, visit the project website milfordtowncentrefirst.com.
From the smallest shrub to the largest tree in an awkward place, Donnelly Tree Services provide a complete range of tree surgery services. Whether you need to remove a dangerous tree or some nuisance branches, Donnelly Tree Services have the experience and expertise to carry out tree surgery to the highest of professional standards. Call 083 005 9939. Donnelly Tree Services, Donegal. No job is too small, no tree is too tall.
The DL Debate with Sister Sarah's Letterkenny, serving food you'll love till 9 p.m. daily in Sarah's Kitchen. And there's free admission entertainment every weekend.
Yes, welcome back to DL Debate. My guests are Paul Finlay and Kevin Cass. Evergreen Paul Finlay. I was going to say former players in the intro there. Of course, Paul still playing and winning championships with Ballybay. No bother to him. Cass, listen, Paul was just saying there about that goal chance at Jamie Brennan just before we close off this game. Could we have been talking about something different tonight if that had went in? Would there been something there? Let's say we even took a draw out of it. Kevin, was there a capitulation, 6 points in a row? Followed after that, and really Donegal, maybe, as Paul was saying before, both teams a bit brittle, and something like that where a spell Monaghan get at home, Donegal were backs to the wall, and then the game went away from us.
100%, it's just as a game inches, and that goes in, Davy, and we know that Monaghan are under pressure coming into the game. We know Donegal are under pressure coming into the game. That hits the net, and Clonus, the crowd, then maybe the added pressure on Monaghan. You just don't know, and then once Monaghan go and they start rattling off the points, obviously the crowd get behind you, and the two teams at the minute are a bit brittle, but obviously. Monaghan just took the game with the scruff of the neck after that. I suppose piece of luck or whatever you want to put it, but definitely we could have been speaking about something different because there's not that much of a gap between the two teams. So without a doubt, Donegal could have been talking differently this weekend.
Yes, Cass, indeed. Boy, indeed. Cass, I'm twiddling a few knobs here. Joe Dex has got me learning the system here, so you bear with me, man. There's a lot of buttons in front of me here. Cass,
you should be well used to the Dex.
Jeez, it's been a while. Joe Dex, too, the very main man. We're just looking through. I was queuing up because we were talking to Paddy Carr after the game, Cass, and he's just on about we need like a learning process, and we need to basically dust ourselves off and go again, Cass. But I'm still looking for the tactics in that. I mean, it's all right, kind of giving it a go, kind of talk, and we'll give it our all and stuff like that. But we really need, I suppose, I think some kind of process of play in there to see how we're going to shore up our problems, and our problems are, we're definitely at the back, as you say, shipping 120. But I say after the match, Oisin caught up with him in the game. Here's what he had to say. I'll get him up here now if you have it. Good man, Joe. I'm putting him under pressure here.
Time, and we missed an awful lot of chances, and just at this level you're always being punished over that. And we came out, and just that same thing that happened this last week just didn't kick on when things were, or the second half there. Look, it was very disappointing. There's a lot of soul searching going on inside there, and that's the way it has to be. They're a good bunch of lads. They're very upset with themselves about the way they let that game get away from themselves, and it just seemed to come down to it. Just like we were looking back there through a lot of the opportunities and scores that Monaghan got, and it came through that issue of us allowing the ball to be turned over. Like, there's a few lads out there who were turned over 4 or 5 times, and Division 1 you're punished all the time for that.
11-9 up 10 minutes into the second half, and he was motoring well at that stage, but then all of a sudden Monaghan just hit you for 6 in the bounce with it.
Yeah, and look, that little bit of, we always knew it at this level, if you can get ahead, put a bit of distance. We just didn't put Monaghan in the place that we wanted to put them, and I suppose the ball coming off the crossbar there, that would have put a wee bit of distance between us, and that didn't happen, But look, we played two very strong teams in Tyrone and Kerry, and that is not something that we're happy about at all, and we've absolutely no option but to kick on. There's a lot of points still to be got in this league yet. We're not in any way feeling sorry for ourselves, even though we are hurting a good bit. But we just have to get up and get ready and get going, and that make sure that the heads are right for what's going to come at us next week.
Cass, what do you think about Paddy there? He says there's a lot of points to play for. Where are you targeting now? I mean, ultimately you're looking at your home games. I mean, Galway, even with players missing, had too much for Tyrone, who completely bossed us the week before. Is it a question of just trying to get that crowd in Letterkenny behind you, and then having to go with Mayo, who again had a brilliant performance against Kerry at the weekend? Or where are you seeing possible points coming out of this? I mean, people are thinking maybe it could come down to us from Roscommon on the last day. Anything but at the minute with the Rossies, So where do you think we can get points to get out of this relegation trouble and stay in the division?
Yeah, well, first of all, I don't think, as Paddy spoke about soul searching there, I don't think these lads need to soul search as much. I think, here in Donegal, Davy, we're quick to get on teams' backs, but I think we need to afford the guys a wee bit of support and time here. And I agree with you, we need to get behind them as much as we can. And I actually see this weekend, Davy, as the one where we need to lay down a marker. Like Galway, they are obviously last year's finalists and they're going well, but they're still missing Comer, Walsh, and Finnerty. Do you know what I mean? So you need to be targeting this weekend, and there should be a sting in the tail for the boys. Listen, we're going into Letterkenny. I know our record's not great there, even against Galway in recent years, but I'd be targeting this one, Davy, because if you don't manage to get a result this one, then it does start to really, really look bad for us, and the pressure will start to build. So if I was inside the camp, I'd be looking at turning it around this weekend immediately.
Yeah. And Paul, for yourselves now, I mean, good buzz in the county. There was obviously Vinnie Corey coming in. It looked like you were a bit in transition. You have flirted with relegation every season, the last couple, and again it was looking that way again, Paul. But listen, it's a shot now at Roscommon, who they've won the matches. Well, they're playing well, but they're certainly not an unbeatable side for you. Particularly how you finished that game against Donegal. Give you a great heart going into that match.
Yeah. Well, I just would not be. I'd be I think Monaghan's very much maybe like Donegal, and in the same. Yeah, you guys have more injury concerns. Maybe Paddy McBrearty is going to be a huge loss to you. Owen Hugh Orion, still to come back, and it's looking maybe like championship maybe before you'll see him. So that they're huge losses. Monaghan. We're very much wanting to give Vinny some time, and I think the Monaghan supporters need to give him some time to try and build a new team. Now there's still a good sprinkling of experience within the squad, which has probably helped them yesterday. And it's always better when you have a good Spain and a good few lads that've been around for a while, added into a lot of young fellas. So. That the mix was good yesterday, but I still feel I would not feel that Monaghan are on the up, or they've sort of, because I just feel that game could have on another day, could have been a draw, or could have ended up in a 1 or 2 point defeat. So there's nothing more to talk about other than a good boost, a morale boost, a good boost for the team and the squad. That they've been working hard, I'm sure, since they got started up before Christmas. Looking forward to getting going in the National League under a bit of pressure from the very start, up to 2 defeats from 2 matches. So it's nothing more than just a little bit of a boost. They go ahead and beat Roscommon this weekend, and of course then you can start to think, okay, we really have a great chance now of avoiding the drop and maybe doing something even better. But whatever is about Monaghan, they're just resilient. They'll not go down without a fight, and so that's all you can ask for. Vinny's bound to be thrilled today with how the team bounced back from that Kerry defeat. There was no, you could see that the energy in the team. They were playing for him. They were battling as hard as they possibly could. And when you have a Monaghan team doing that, the crowd and the supporters will get behind you and push you on. And it certainly helped yesterday, and no doubt it'll help next weekend. And if they can get that performance and get a victory there, they'll be in a good place. But in the more long term, you certainly just are still looking at breeding a lot of new fellas into the team.
Paul, there's a wee guy in there I have to ask you about, David Garland. I covered Jordanstown on UCD. He was absolutely phenomenal. I think he had 3-4 on the night. As good as forward performance as I've seen. What's the story with him?
Yeah, so he's not in the panel, Brendan. He's I think he's cited study commitments and the possibility of going away later on in the year, maybe to the US. So David has been in and out of the Monaghan panel, even in Banty's time. He was phenomenal in the Monaghan Championship last year. Like he ended up the top scorer. Now, granted, there was some relegation games and all that in there, and he scored heavily in those. But he's absolutely outstanding. Like, for a guy small in stature, he kicks frees from way outside where he should be kicking them from, and he's a credit. For some reason, it just has never happened for him in a Monaghan jersey. Like, has he been given enough time? He could maybe argue that he hasn't. I've sort of seen him a few times. He's been in early in the year and just seems to have drifted maybe he's just not feeling it and not feeling that he's getting enough game time, and he gets a wee bit pissed off and decides, look, I'm not going to hang around here, which is probably not what you need. We all know that you need to hang in there and maybe stick in and, wait for things to happen, especially as a forward. So a wee bit disappointing that he's not in there with the quality that he has, but, he has had chances, and for whatever reason, it just hasn't worked.
Yeah, and what age is he, Paul? He's still quite young, right?
Yeah, he'd be, maybe just mid-20s, maybe.
He's mid-20s, right? I thought he was even younger than that, But
no. David Garland has been hanging around. No, he has been around for the scene for a while.
Yeah.
And
on the basis of that performance, Paul, I'm looking at that thinking if he was a Donegal lad, I'd be like, put him in the team. Like, he was absolutely unmarkable, And listen, there was loads of county players around him in that, but I mean, he stood out a mile, certainly, and certainly a guy, I suppose, as you said, sometimes things just don't fit in certain teams, and you kind of have to wait it out and wait for your right chance and then stake a claim. But with the talent I seen of him that night, Paul, it's amazing that hasn't happened for him.
It is. You're not the only one now, even around Monaghan. His name would be mentioned, and I know within his own club mates and team that there would be maybe a bit bewildered as to why maybe more has not been done to hold Dave Davey in the squad, but. I'm not close enough to know, other than that, yes, he certainly has the talent, but there's a lot of other things that's needed, other than the talent, just to, the commitment and the sacrifices, etc. So I just can't comment whether all of that's part of the package. So, but it certainly is a loss, like when you don't have talent like that within your squad now. But outside of that, like Monaghan would be, and always have been in my time, having everybody that's available to him in the squad. Stephen O'Hanlon dropped out for a year or two, and he's back in now, and you can see the impact he's making. He's a guy with serious pace, and a guy with pace like that in any team can always do harm. And he hurt Donegal yesterday, scoring 0-3 from play, and he was everywhere in the game, to be fair to him. And if there was a man of the match going, he would have been right up there.
Yeah, I think that's a wider question, Paul, right? Players that maybe don't want to come out there and necessarily want that lifestyle. It is something that's happening as well. I mean, one of our own best forwards, Shane O'Donnell, has opted out for something similar this season, and listen, that's up to them. It's an amateur game, but there's certainly two lads are missed by the county. Lads, we're nearly read up. I want to throw another question or two to you just off the back of a Colm O'Rourke, just a minute and a half from Colm O'Rourke from Saturday night. I was up in Owenbeg. If you will hang on, and we'll close out the show with that after these ad breaks. All right.
The DL Debate with Sister Sarah's Letterkenny, serving food you'll love till 9 p.m. daily in Sarah's Kitchen. And there's free admission entertainment every weekend.
We at Highland Radio love Irish music, and we want to show our support. Throughout Irish Music Month this March, in partnership with Hot Press Magazine, we're asking you to support the Irish musicians, artists and bands who make every party, every drive home and every day magic. That's right. To celebrate Irish Music Month on Highland Radio, we're asking you to support Irish artists and musicians by buying Irish albums, Irish tickets, Irish t-shirts and Irish music merch. Irish musicians have shown that they are right up there with the best in the world, so let's support them by buying Irish. Proudly supported by Highland Radio, Hot Press, IBI and the BAI Sound and Vision Fund.
Right Price Tiles and Wood Flooring are 25 years old, and to celebrate, we're offering up to 70% off across all tiles, wood flooring, and bathware. And each week, 25 lucky customers will win their order for free. That's right, for free. Right Price Tiles and Wood Flooring, up to 70% off birthday sale now on.
Around the Northwest with John Breslin will launch Read DL 2023 with an outside broadcast at Creeslough National School this Tuesday, 21st of February. Read DL is an annual one book, one community programme. So to hear all about this year's chosen book and to find out how you can get involved, tune in to John Breslin on Around the Northwest this Tuesday from 12 noon, live from Creeslough National School for the launch of Read DL 2023.
Yes, welcome back. As I say, on Saturday night, I was up in Owenbeg to see Derry absolutely dismantle Meath, and I just want to throw a couple of questions to the boys on the back of this, and here is their manager, Colin O'Rourke. I'll get him up for you now. This is it, Cass. You need. I need to go back to the Dex days here. We're going to get a word from Colin here somewhere. If I can click him up. You got to bear with me. I'll be a natural at this soon, Cass. You know it. It won't take too long.
I have faith in you, Davey. I have faith in you.
But listen, as I say, it was an absolute annihilation. And listen, Derry looking so good. It was kind of frightening that the two teams are in the same league.
Yeah.
No, he doesn't want to talk to us. Do you know what? He gets such a skin in. Hey, he's not going to speak. But Cass, I was just looking at the naivety of Meath in this game, you know. And I know Colin O'Rourke's throw back the old school and he wants to kick the ball, and he like all of us, we hate blanket defence and we want to go around it. But you need a certain talent to do that, you know. And like as I say, Derry were drilled and just was like an embarrassment. And we can hear from Colin now for a second.
Derry were clinical in their execution, but we weren't at the races anyway in a lot of play in the first half, so Derry sort of overrun us. I was quite happy with the reaction from the lads in the second half, and they showed a lot of spirit and fight, but in reality the game was over well before half time. And we went back to a lot of old habits, bad habits. We were playing the ball crossfield and we weren't getting players in front of the ball, and we weren't doing a lot of the things that we have tried to do in other games. But when you have a young, inexperienced team, these sort of things happen, and we're going to have to persist and learn from tonight and try and be better the next day. It's a long hill for us to climb, but we're going to work hard. They're good lads. They're very committed. We certainly won't be giving up on it, but we got a harsh lesson in the realities of top flight football.
Yes, Cass, a harsh lesson in top flight football. I don't know what Colin O'Rourke was expecting going to Derry. I mean, we've seen what Derry do, exactly what, and they did it again to Meath. You know, it was as if Meath were dropping players back us, but they were going man to man. The Derry guys were pulling wide and leaving huge gaps that they were going through. And at the other end of the pitch, Derry stayed compact. Their tackling was good, and it was just a team on another level. I mean, it looked more like Division 1 against 4.
Yeah, well, look, I know I was watched Meath this last couple of weeks since Colin took over, and I get his idea and where he's coming from. He wants to go back to traditional football, but then when you come up against a tactician like Rory Gallagher, I guarantee you he picked Meath apart and said, "Listen, guys, we're just going to go to town on these boys," because I like the idea, and I do like the idea of open, expansive football, but like we spoke about Donegal, you have to have some element of tactics or structure or system to keep you from shipping heavy scores. And 100%, you know, Rory works the same way I do. Like he would have sat down and he would have picked Meath apart, the way they were going to set up, the way they were going to play, the holes they were going to leave, and Derry just took them to pieces.
Yeah, and Paul, Derry, you're looking for they obviously come up short in the semi-final last year. They looked a bit ordinary in that semi-final, but they've this McAvoy fella in at fullback now, which allows Brendan Rodgers to play up the pitch. They've fellas like Lachlan Murray, Niall Lachlan, players from that minor All-Ireland one inside, and it's starting to come through. And now Derry do look like they've possibly options to back up Shane McGuigan. They're looking at a very, very dangerous prospect at the minute, because that was as good as a modern day football performance as I've seen.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And as Cass says there, like, no better man than Rory to drill them, and he certainly has them. We all sort of figured that if a guy could go up into Derry and get all the guys that are available to him or to the county playing together and fighting for the Derry jersey, that they'd be a force to be reckoned with, and that's exactly what he's done. So look, I wasn't a bit surprised, maybe the margin of defeat, but you just felt that Meath coming off 2 good victories and playing nice football and scoring plenty of goals, like you knew rightly that they were going to run into a brick wall in Derry, and would they be savvy enough to get around it, and they weren't, and they were well shown out, or out of they were well out of their league really, in Derry. So what about Derry? They're the team to beat in Ulster, purely based on the strengths that they showed last year, and they've improved again. And it's purely, I'd have to just keep putting it at the door of Rory. He's just continues to drill them really well. They're playing to a structure, they're playing to a plan every day they go out, and you can see them going well later on in the year as well. Just down to the fact that it'll be a big sort of a challenge for them to try and get out of Division 1, and it'll be still a task to do that with Dublin down there as well, and a few tough games to come. But they're certainly doing everything that you'd like to see in your county team, and playing to a structure, boys fighting tooth and nail for positions and everything else. So they're flying, Derry, and it'll be interesting to see, can they go a couple of steps further. Is it within their grasp to win an All Ireland? The quality in the forward line, we just have to wait and see later on how that's developing, but that they're looking good at the moment.
Yeah, and Paul, listen, you're close to Meath there. Is there something in Meath that can get them back to this top table? Obviously, Colm O'Rourke. Do you know who was there actually? Sean Boylan was there involved in the backroom team. I couldn't believe it. I seen him in there the last time. Maybe you were aware of that. I wasn't, So I suppose they're throwing back to the great glory years. And I'm sure when you were growing up, Paul, you would have seen that Meath team that was just looked like they would always be around the top. They've fallen off and they've never able to get back. I suppose the big thing for them, they want to compete with Dublin. That is their number one tie, but the number one objective. What I seen the last night, they're a long way off that. Although Dublin, of course, themselves are maybe a small bit out of sorts, but certainly still that Meath squad looked like they were way off a challenge against Dublin.
Yeah, no, I would know quite a bit about Meath football. I work with Mark O'Reilly, he former Meath All Ireland winner and All Star, that you probably maybe bumped into along the road.
Unfortunately, yes.
So proud of Football County and their rich history of All Irelands and great teams. And look, I was delighted to see Colm coming into the role. A great time for him as an analyst and as a player before that. And he talks about the game so well. You'd love to see him do well, but I think it's wishful thinking that something's going to just happen on the back of Colm being in, and he's going to wave the wand, and even Sean Boylan for that matter. What you're looking for is Colm to come in. You're looking for him to spend 2 or 3, 4, 5 years there maybe, and try and just build and build and build. It's just not going to happen, over one season. And yes, there's a good quality of player there, but they just haven't been at the top table for so long. And those guys are going to have to work extremely hard. They had a harsh lesson above in Celtic Park or up in Owen Beg. That don't be the first team and don't be the last to get a lesson up there. It's a difficult place to go any time in National League or at any stage of the year. So it was a harsh lesson. They're looking to make improvements this year. It'd be good for them to finish sort of maybe challenged to get out of Division 2. If they don't get out of there, they're looking to make improvements on where they were last year, Championship, and make incremental changes and see the trend moving in the right direction. I think is what they need to see over the next period of time. But no better man than Colm to do it, and you'd fancy them to improve at worst case as the year goes on.
Yeah, good man yourself, Paul. Great roundup, lads. Cass, just last question to you, or underage structure, the fallout, something we got to sort out and pretty quick, because I would say we're looking to end up on a good news story, and I just think at the minute, Donegal football, even the announcements from the county board about McBurdy and late fitness test and that, and there just seems to be some strange stuff coming out from our county board. We really need to, it's a time to pull together, certainly, and start, I suppose, producing and getting good players through from our underage academy.
Yeah, it's disappointing, Davy. Like, nobody, I suppose, knows the full story. There's bits and pieces coming out left, right, and centre. But somebody, as you said, somebody has to, take the lead here and get things back on track. Because, like, you look at our 20s, Davy, you look at our 17s, we're not physically developing as well as other teams are doing around us. So unless we fix it quickly, we're going to fall behind, behind other counties. So listen, whatever needs to happen, even the whole carry on around the management this year, how long it took and the secrecy and all this kind of stuff, I don't know. There just has to be more transparency, I think.
Yeah, transparency would be great, Cass. It's the time to pull together for sure. Listen, lads, great roundup. Kevin Cass there, Gudor and Donegal Star, and of course Paul Finlay, Monaghan and Ballybay, and champs of Monaghan too. Paul, I have to give you the G up for that, boy. You're still weaving that left wand of a foot of yours.
You hold me back from the Fat Club training tonight.
You can join me in Gas, son. You can join me in Gas. Lads, brilliant roundup. Thanks so much to the two boys there. And of course, Joe Dexter producing, head of sport, Osh Ian Kelly. And as I say, we look forward to speaking to you all next week. Coming up is the Monday night sessions. Of course, the excellent Monday night sessions with Jimmy and Paul. Stay tuned for that.
At SuperValu